That's well.
Well, I don't know if Matt. I don't
Is
know.
that should that be a sorry Joe? Like, or
Right.
that's what she said. I can't wait for the costumes tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's true. It is true
I'll
that we're
never.
going. What
Go
is that?
ahead. I was gonna
No.
say I'll never forget the first time you said, sometimes you gotta spice it up. Sometimes you gotta mix things up a little bit.
Was that my break out the toys comment?
Yes, it was the first of many.
Okay. Yeah, that's a definite sorry, Joe. This won't make it in the audio version. All right, Rams in Miami. We get to start out with a great one here in part 2 of the Week 8 preview on the Audible, mainly because of Tua Tagovailoa, Bloom. So let's quickly get through the Ram side and all the complications they're in with Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown, blah, blah, blah. That's okay. Receivers, yes. I really am super excited to talk about Tua. So let's talk about the Rams so we can actually
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, by the way. That's exactly my approach to this game, too. Um, on the Ram side, I mean, week 8, we're shifting the second half of the fantasy football regular season, and soon the second half of the season will be upon us, and we can start thinking about the playoff picture. And the Rams can't really afford to give away any games in a very tight NFC playoff picture and a very tight NFC West. We did see Jared Goff look better against a tougher defense that had owned him the last 2 years. So that's encouraging because remember, you're playing a rested Miami team that has Byron Jones and Xavier Howard. So this is a team with outside corners that, I think are going to take away the downfield passing. So maybe it's another Gerald Everett game. We'll see if Tyler Higbee's ready with that hand. Maybe it's Cooper Kupp working the middle of the field more. Darrell Henderson still probably going to lead this backfield in touches. Cam Akers, he's the ghost. And, there's no Cam Akers in this backfield, just the thought of Cam Akers. But you also have Malcolm Brown scoring last week. So Malcolm Brown is complicating things, keeping this a committee for fantasy purposes. And yeah, I think the Rams, we can see the offense is becoming a lot more comfortable and well oiled, and the defense is making a difference. And we'll see how that defense treats Tua.
We'll see how Tua does out there. And I've said it this way, Bloom, and we'll see if you back me up on this. If you've liked what you've seen with Justin Herbert, wait till you get a load of Tua.
Sure.
And what you've seen from Herbert is distributing the ball all over the place, being cool and calm under pressure, using his legs. These are all things that Tua can do as well. Now, rookie quarterback, first start, struggles, show him stuff he's never seen. Yeah. I get all that. And we don't yet know how he's going to mesh with Devontae Parker, with Preston Williams, with Mike Gesicki, with those weapons. Nobody's really looking at the ground game here. But for me, it's all eyes on Tua. And, maybe it makes you a little hesitant when considering your Parkers, etc. But yeah. I'm excited because they make this move, this planned move, to get an upgrade from Fitzpatrick and also to get the kids some experience.
This is momentous. Cease. How many quarterbacks have had the origin story of Tua Tagovailoa? Mm-hmm. I mean, you can go back to read about him. Quarterback is destiny for him. It's really, this was set in motion a long, long time ago. And I don't think anybody's going to ever top what he did for his first college game. I don't know how you could top that.
No, you can't.
And again, Cecil, you're a writer, a storyteller. You could not have penned a better opening chapter. And now we have the opening chapter of his NFL career. Momentous. I'm really excited to watch him play. And I think you're right to imply that he's not going to look like a rookie with his legs not quite under him yet. He was born for this. Goes into the national championship game, and even, what was it, Cease, like 3rd and 15 or 20 on the touchdown that won the championship? Yeah. I mean, it was dire straits for his team, and he couldn't have been cooler. So we're going to be watching this for fantasy to see who he favors. One possibility, Omar Kelly had reported that Mike Gesicki said he's on the scout team, Tua, and they run full-speed routes. That's meaningful. And remember, even though Adam Shaheen is coming on and they gave him that extension over the bye, that doesn't mean that Gesicki's going to go away. So he's an interesting guy as a what-the-heck tight end. Myles Gaskin, of course, is in charge of this backfield. Wouldn't be shocked if we see Jordan Howard get traded. He would look interesting in Seattle, keeping the trade deadline in the back of our minds here. Jalen Ramsey on Devontae Parker, who's still not healthy. At least Devontae Parker, when he's not healthy, is catching a couple passes and one for a touchdown, but maybe this is a week to go away from Parker and look at Preston Williams. And otherwise, look at this Miami team. Just because they removed Ryan Fitzpatrick, they were not punting the season.
Right.
And see, so we can look at the AFC playoff picture. I don't want to bloom the Steelers, all right? But, Ravens, Steelers, Chiefs, Bills, Titans. These are looking like your 5 presumptive playoff teams. And after that,
the Dolphins could catch the Bills, honestly.
Well, they could, right. And, who else? I mean, the Colts, the Chargers, the Raiders, the Browns.
The Dolphins are right there, man.
Yeah, they are. And with Tua and this team, a plucky team with Brian Flores, it's not a team you'd want to see coming into your building in the first round, wild card round. So it's a good matchup.
Mm-hmm. Captain's hat and a coin changer. By the way, Sunny. Morning Cap'n Crunchy and gang. So, yeah, Cap'n Crunchy.
Crunch berries.
You'll take that. All right. Here we go, Bloom. It is the Steelers show. Pittsburgh and Baltimore. All right. Don't look at the practice report from yesterday because I don't really think it matters. This is Thursday morning, and yesterday Juju didn't practice. Yesterday Deontay didn't practice. Whatever. They're both going to be out there. Now, what do they do when they're out there? This seems like it could be a big James Conner game. And by big, I mean 20 carries for 60 yards.
Yeah.
And maybe a touchdown. This seems like a back to black and blue. And we've seen some games. Cordell Stewart springs to mind, Bloom, beating the Ravens, throwing it downfield. We've seen some games between these two that have been a little bit more high scoring, but this seems like a throwback. And I kind of want to do the whole game at once because they're the same.
Sure.
Lamar Jackson's different, obviously, than Ben Roethlisberger, and the Steelers have much better wide receivers than the Ravens do. James Washington would be the best receiver on the Ravens. There is no doubt. And he's the 4th receiver for the Steelers. So let's start with the Steelers side and what kind of emphasis the Ravens are going to have on forcing Ben to do what? To go downfield? To not work it to Juju, and then Chase. I think Chase Claypool's a real X factor here because you can game plan all you want, you can scheme, and you can take away Juju. You might even be able to deal with Deontay Johnson. But how do you deal with Chase Claypool? So for me, strong flex play with upside, Juju low end wide receiver 2, Deontay Johnson wide receiver 2. Like there's value here. But if it's a slugfest, Bloom, how much value?
Yeah, I think you're right. And first and foremost, NFL. How can you not flex this game to Sunday night?
Exactly.
Come on. Really, do you give us, the fans, a hookup here so we can really bask in the glow of this game? And I think you're right to characterize it as a defensive battle because I believe that in both cases, we see them get too close to the line. And these defenses are going to slap you down if you're off or foolish at all with your decisions. Roethlisberger can be foolish with the ball, almost threw away the game last week. And Lamar Jackson still hasn't really had a great start-to-finish passing game this year against any sort of defense. Do we remember that Yannick Ngakoue is a Raven now? Defenses, tough defenses. So you're lowering expectations across the board here. And I think for Ben Roethlisberger, you're lowering expectations. For Connor, I think you're right. Touch-wise, he's going to regulate this offense. You wonder, Cecil, if this is not a game for Matt Canada to mix in more Ray McLeod, Anthony McFarland, who he coached in college, who can stretch the defense with these jet motions. I really like the way that the broadcasting staffs are using Sean McVay's offense to show people just how the jet motion can at least distract or put a stretch a defense horizontally. And I think that's something the Steelers might benefit from here. Deontay Johnson's going to play. At least he says he's going to play. It seems like if we're looking for plays in the Steelers passing game, it is more Deontay Johnson. Juju Smith-Schuster especially outside of the slot because you don't necessarily want to test Marcus Peters. You don't necessarily want to test Marlon Humphrey here, although Humphrey in the slot too. Maybe even Eric Ebron. But I do think this might be a game characterized more by turnovers. I think with Chase Claypool, we're not going back to him. How the fortunes change so quickly. I do think there will be games when Chase Claypool is a threat to have his 3 or 4 touchdown game again. But what's going to be really interesting to watch here, Cease, is if it is, say, Claypool singled up against Peters, does Roethlisberger test that? Because that could be a touchdown either way, the way that these guys play and the way that Roethlisberger takes chances. So this is going to be an edge of your seat kind of game on every play. It's only the first time they're going to play this year. And I think for the Ravens coming out of the bye and having 2 weeks to prepare for this, I'm especially interested to see what they have up their sleeve.
Yeah, and it's the way that they play, Bloom, but it's also the way they play against each other. Like there's just something extra here.
Yeah.
It's like jumping on our YouTube show like Ryan did. He says, first time in the YouTube chat, but I get to see Bloom in a captain's hat.
Yeah. Stick around.
Captain
You never know what you'll
Stewie.
see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Remember that one time Cecil got drunk on the show?
That was famous. All right. Let's get to that Ravens side then. And Lamar Jackson, it's a pass rush, but it's Lamar Jackson, right? So he can escape that. Fantasy GMs aren't trusting anytime I get a J.K. Dobbins question, I'm just like, well, I mean, in Madden, he's great. Like, and I know he's talented, but they just, Mark Ingram's healthy and Gus Edwards going to be there and Lamar Jackson's going to steal a rushing touchdown. So again, and Mandrew will do enough. You're starting Mandrew even in this tough matchup because there's a security blanket. I mean, Lamar Jackson will be pressured. He'll be under heat. It's just smart to get Mark Andrews the ball. But how many Ravens can you have confidence in? This will be a great game, Bloom. I don't know if it would be great for fantasy.
Yeah, I don't know how many you're confident in. And this is an important game for the Ravens because they were the clear king of the hill last year in the division. But the Steelers, especially that first half last week against the Titans, remember the Titans, the team that sent the Ravens home, Steelers hung on and beat them. Steelers can go into the Ravens' house and really assert it's our division this year. Maybe even get that inside track to a first-round bye. That number 1 seed so important. They're going to put Lamar Jackson on the spot. And we saw this, remember, the Steelers took the Ravens to overtime without Ben Roethlisberger last year. And they did it, I think, by making Lamar Jackson make a decision early in the play. Blitz him. And Jackson, as we saw in that loss to the Titans, he can be a rushed thinker at times. He can be somebody that if the play doesn't really present the option that is the best, he can play himself into bad plays. We saw him doing that against the Steelers, and I think the Steelers will definitely test him. And because of that, he's getting questions like Tom Brady. If the game is played, we're back to COVID watch. If the game is played, like Tom Brady or Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert or Lamar Jackson. That's what they're going to be like this weekend in Denver. We'll get to that. But, the point is you're not automatically playing Lamar Jackson. You're not automatically playing Patrick Mahomes this week because of his matchup. Is Mark Ingram going to play? I'd say early signs point to no. This is not a Gus Bus game. 2 yards a carry. As he got that when Ingram went out anyway. It may be a J.K. Dobbins day. That being said, he's probably just my phobia as a Steelers fan of without Devin Bush. Devin Bush was the guy that can match up with J.K. Dobbins physically outside if Dobbins is catching passes. So that's a place where Devin Bush might be really missed, is if J.K. Dobbins is used more as a receiver, used more on outside runs. Of course, Marquise Brown is scary here. It's Halloween season, 2 days, whatever. It's we're scared of against this secondary, their ability to lose track of players if the pass rush doesn't get home. If Lamar Jackson can elude that pass rush, the first wave, and Devin Duvernay. And I wonder, Cease, is Devin Duvernay a player? And Jason Lockenfora, not necessarily someone we automatically take what he says as gospel, but he says when the Yannick Ngakoue trade was made, the Ravens were talking to them about Irv Smith and Adam Thielen too, or they were brought up, So the Ravens know they need another pass catcher. They need somebody who can help. They also were kicking around Zach Ertz before he got hurt in the trade market. But is the answer on their roster? Is it Devin Duvernay? Is it Devin Duvernay in the speed? Is it Devin Duvernay out of the slot? So he's another one. Again, Steelers lose track of him for a second. That could be a long touchdown. So this is really my essay, players that scare me as a Steelers fan against the Ravens. It's going to be an incredible game, a really, really incredible game. And it's only the first one, and it's only mid-season, and this is why we tune in.
Mm-hmm. I guess they sound like a sassy grandma. That's awesome.
Yeah. Abuela.
Yes, abuela. Watch out for the wachata. You ever get the wachata, right?
The chancla?
Yep. Take off the shoes, start beating you over the head.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the Broncos show then. Chargers and Broncos. They're up next in part 2 of the Week 8 preview. Weather's going to be fine. I think it's going to be in the 60s. I can double check that on my handy dandy weather app. Somebody's in Colorado, humble brag. Woo! But Chargers side, Justin Herbert is spreading the ball around. Justin Herbert is not bothered by pressure at all. Maybe not because he has, ice in his veins or whatever. Sunday's 59 with 0% chance of precipitation. So, okay, with Justin Herbert, what's Vic Fangio going to show him? Because if you go back and you look, everyone's been saying, and it's true, like Justin Herbert has gone toe-to-toe with Pat Mahomes, and he's gone toe-to-toe with Drew Brees. He's gone toe-to-toe with Tom Brady. But Bloom, he's also gone toe-to-toe with those defenses.
Yeah.
So Vic Fangio, God bless him. God bless Vic Fangio for as long as he's the Broncos head coach. God bless him. And even after that. But, okay, is he really going to show him something he hasn't seen? Because the kid's gotten the kitchen sink thrown at him. And, again, it just doesn't bother him. So what does that mean? Hunter Henry, is he a better play? Again, I was watching Alexander Johnson in practice yesterday in coverage drills, and I was just like, well, it sounds bad, but I was just laughing. I was like, this is the coverage. This is their coverage. These are their inside linebackers, ladies and gentlemen. Like, it was just bad. It's just not what you want in today's NFL. So can you attack him with Hunter Henry? Sure. Donald Parham, Bloom, XFL, what's up? Lots of Keenan Allen in this one. Running backs we're not as interested in. But certainly Herbert with this road test against Vic Fangio's defense. It's going to be interesting, but Bloom, I think more importantly, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, we may look back at Justin Herbert's performance against Tampa as the best quarterback performance against them. Not just statistically. That. Yeah, I mean, we may look back and say Herbert was the only one who really showed how to play this one. So yeah, this is Cecil. And since you serve that wonderful Broncos audience, Broncos fans, this is your introduction to Justin Herbert. Get used to him. You're going to be seeing him a lot. So make you pine for Phillip Rivers. And again, Herbert, at some point, you just don't argue with the numbers. He's the top 5 fantasy quarterback at this point. I don't see anything in this matchup that would discourage me from playing him. Justin Jackson may be a little banged up. I think that this is a little more Joshua Kelly than Jackson, although we saw them go away from the running game last week against Jags. Hate seeing Mike Purcell go down, Cease. How important was he to the run defense?
Very important. He actually, the key last season, and it was after they got ran over by Derrick Henry, the key was putting Mike Purcell in. Everyone's like, oh, they put in Alexander Johnson. Don't forget how they put Mike Purcell in at the same time after that game.
Yeah, so, and there's a lot of guys on the Broncos defensive line. It's kind of like an island of misfit toys, guys who've had to really scratch and fight and claw for the opportunities they've got in the NFL. So you especially don't like seeing those guys go down. But maybe that helps things for Joshua Kelly. And then we have a similar situation here as we do in Green Bay, where we know that Rodgers is going to hook up with Adams. We know that Justin Herbert's going to hook up with Keenan Allen. This is much like DeAndre Hopkins immediately becoming that guy for Kyler Murray. Good quarterbacks keep it simple. That open and catches the ball every time. That's who you throw to. So Mike Williams, Hunter Henry, these are your true boom bust plays. Because with Justin Herbert, especially against Denver, they could be massive, but it could just be Keenan Allen again. It could be Donald Parham again. It could be Jalen Guyton again. At some point, Cecil, are we going to start recommending playing someone who catches 1 or 2 passes a game? Jalen Guyton, you could probably catch a 70-yarder again. And I just want to say, they're 2-4. It's wide open. I want to see Justin Herbert in the playoffs. I want to see them snatch one of those last few spots in the AFC. So got to win this one.
See him make a move. I want to see Drew Lock play up to his potential. Potential is a dirty, filthy word. But make no mistake about it. Drew Lock does have potential. And I'm not making excuses for him. It's just that he's being way too hard on himself. He's covering for Pat Shurmur in press conferences, saying things like, oh, well, we work together and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing a quarterback that doesn't run the full playbook. I'm seeing a coach that doesn't like that his quarterback doesn't run the full playbook. And I'm seeing stubbornness on both sides, honestly. I'm seeing Pat Shurmur being too stubborn to actually work with Drew Lock and kind of simplify the playbook. I don't want to say dumb down, but you have to simplify the playbook. He's only reading half the field. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. So, defense coordinators, they're definitely going to know it and, force him to do things that make him uncomfortable. If you're Pat Shurmur, and Drew Lock is now a pure sight thrower, when you can win a lot of games with the pure sight thrower, but it's not that upper echelon of passer that you see with Justin Herbert, throwing with timing, throwing with touch, throwing with anticipation. We rarely see Drew Lock do that. But now, what are we hearing? Besides Drew Lock make excuses for Pat Shurmur. We're hearing Drew Lock kind of just beat himself up. I'm going to take the play. So here's what we're going to get. And Tim Patrick may not play. He was on an exercise bike yesterday. We'll see how his hamstring responds during the rest of the week of practice. I'll be out there on Friday. So if Tim Patrick doesn't play, this is Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant, and Albert Okwuegbunam. There is interceptions that have been thrown by this team that have all been in 3 wide receiver sets. Every single one of them. By every single quarterback. I don't care if it's Jeff Driscoll time or Drew Lock or Brett Rippon. Every interception thrown is in 3 wide receivers. Now, that's Shurmur's bread and butter. That Shurmur system is 3 wide receivers. You got to scrap your system, Shurmur. One, it's not really that good anyway. When Pat Shurmur's system is like hitting on all cylinders, Bloom, it's like 15th in the league, 17th in the league.
Right.
It's not that good. Okay, so what do? 2 tight ends, shorter routes, keep Drew Lock in a rhythm. Make those deep shots from time to time. But I think Jerry Jeudy might surprise this week. I think Noah Fant, if he's out there, might surprise this week. I saw him yesterday. He looked like he did on Sunday. He's not quite himself, but he'll be out there. And Alberto's out there. So what makes the most sense? You can't go 3 wide receiver sets. Oh, by the way, Deontay Spencer's hurt. So your 3 wide receiver set, Bloom, would be Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, and Deshaun Hamilton. None of that sounds good.
No.
Okay. So what makes sense? Assuming rational coaching. 2 tight end sets makes more sense. All right. Now to the running backs. Phillip Lindsay's got the concussion. Didn't see him yesterday. We'll watch today. Watch his work in practice during the week. Might be more Melvin Gordon, whatever that means, and however much that is worth. But here's what's on the line, Bloom.
Yeah.
And you can consider this a Lassie Bark or if you'd like. If they win, okay, we're figuring things out with Drew Lock and Pat Shurmur. If they don't win, and this is Lock versus Herbert, remember that. Put it in that lens, everybody. This is Lock versus Herbert. How does he look against that guy? If he doesn't look good, we're talking about perhaps a quarterback change. We're talking about the Broncos being sellers. I don't know exactly who they'd sell. I don't have a lot at the trade deadline. Not buyers.
Yeah.
This is the fulcrum. There's another word I like to say.
Yeah.
It's a fulcrum of the season. Things are teetering in Denver. You're going to go this way. You're going to go this way. The fulcrum is week 8.
Yes. I can see it. I can see it. And I can't really add much to that excellent treatment of the Broncos, except to say for fantasy, you're looking at Albert O as an option this week if you don't have a tight end that you like. Jerry Jeudy at least has enough appeal to consider as a what the heck flex if they're keeping the passing game more aligned to Drew Lock's strengths. But on the other hand, you do have Joey Bosa, you do have Melvin Ingram, you do have the possibility of exactly what Cecil described coming out of this week thinking, well, this isn't going to work. This isn't the plan anymore. And it probably is a Melvin Gordon week in so much as, like he said, with Phillip Lindsay, I would guess not playing. Okay, you're going to get your 15, 20 touches from Gordon, maybe a touchdown, whatever that's worth for the poor Denver Broncos fans.
Yeah, it's bad time here in the Mile High City. New Orleans and Chicago, first and foremost, Bloom, to start out the show, everyone's like, woo, 6 okay.
Yeah.
6 okay.
Yeah.
So what happened with Zeta? Let's get a hurricane.
Sure,
update.
hurricane. And this is my first hurricane to truly ride out here. And actually, this is the strongest hurricane where the center passed over the city of New Orleans, because Katrina did not pass directly over New Orleans. There's been some bad ones in the past too. Betsy, Zeta was trying to catch an airplane, I guess. Putting the hurry in hurricane, if you know what I'm talking about, Cease. 25 miles an hour. So it was fast. And because of that, there wasn't sustained damage from the wind. There wasn't flooding. And it was okay. I mean, there's a lot of power outages. One person died uptown because they went out and moved a power line. And we have a power line right next to us, a block over, that came down. And another person died in Biloxi because they were filming the storm. So, rest in peace to these folks. But I think that this could have been a lot worse. It was late. I want to say it was the strongest westernmost storm this late in hurricane season. And there's another disturbance out in the Caribbean to watch. Another one. Things are changing. See, so you could see on the weather map, Amarillo by morning, and the ice storm, a vortex, and then the opposite vortex of the hurricane. They said it's something they've never seen on a weather map before. 2020, the year of things we've never seen. And I will say, being in the eye of the storm, literally eye of the storm, as it passed over the city, was one of the eeriest, most uncanny things I'll ever experience in my life. But the only thing I can think of similar is like a solar eclipse, where there are things happening and changing around you that just don't make sense. You can see the rotation of the storm. It's calm, truly calm, after you were just feeling like Mother Nature turned into this malevolent force that was banging and pounding like a haunted house, like banging and pounding on your windows and making your house creak and shake in a way that reminds you that this solid ground you're on isn't so solid, And then all of a sudden it's calm, and the sky turns these colors of orange and pink and yellow, and you see the rotation of the clouds around you. You see all the birds, because birds get caught in the eye. They're like, well, I guess we're just riding this out. Just stay in the eye. It's so crazy. And then a couple minutes later, you're back to the havoc. And thank you to everybody. Folks, I just can't say enough. Everybody out there, your energy and your vibrations are received and appreciated, and they're nourishing. And we don't deserve it. I mean, there are lots of other people out there that deserve all that positive energy. Thank you, everybody. And this was our apparition hurricane, thankfully, a reminder of what danger is out there. But I think most of us are going to be okay. City's going to be okay.
Okay. Well, then let's talk about the New Orleans Saints and traveling to face Chicago and the Michael Thomas situation. Is there anything there, Bloom? Like, other than he's banged up, is there anything there? Like, because that's right. The most interesting. Alvin Kamara, Drew Brees, blah, 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 blah. Like, right, you're starting your Saints, whatever is whatever. But, like, the Michael Thomas thing is just weird.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so we jump into the Saints here, okay? Start with the Michael Thomas thing. And, Sean Payton goes on Twitter to say that's why insiders are outside, The deal, they were trying to induce an offer, language, right? See, so the Saints were trying to get someone to make an offer, or Michael Thomas's camp was trying to get someone to make an offer, and they didn't. I don't know. I'll say this. If Michael Thomas is traded in the offseason, Cease, we will look back at this period and say we should have known. In fact, it was obvious. Obviously, there's something breaking down here. And again, I'll point people back to Jeff Duncan's article a couple of weeks ago in The Athletic, where he just basically came out and said everyone's getting tired of Michael Thomas, and he has to do something about it. So we'll see. Don't think we're going to see him this week, and don't think we're going to see Emmanuel Sanders, who two games, he said on his podcast. He also said that his wife had lost taste and smell, and he's like, that's weird, and then went to practice the next day. I mean, I know
Ego, man.
So anyway, but it looks like Saints are going to be okay to play. But without them and Marquez Callaway, we're going to watch. If Marquez Callaway gets in a full practice, I'm going to be excited to play him. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I think we're looking at wide receiver-wise, Traquan Smith, Deontay Harris, and Austin Carr. Remember Austin Carr? That is against a Bears defense that's pretty stingy when it comes to opposing wide receivers. It's a Jared Cook game. And it's an Alvin Kamara game. Alvin Kamara is going to catch 15 passes in this game. Remember, the Saints went into Chicago last year without Kamara and thumped them. And it was Latavius Murray running all over them. So It's the Bears. Let's be honest. You don't need to put up more than 14 or 17 points to beat them. So why get cute with it? I think you're going to see conservative passing. You're going to see the running backs combine for 35 touches in this game, and you just get the W. This is a game that, again, it's a tight race for playoff spots in the NFC. And this is the precursor to the Saints-Bucks game next week that's going to set a lot of things in motion. But Chicago's defense also, this is a gut check game for them because the Rams' offense made them look tired. It made them look like they really couldn't match what the Rams were doing. Not that they were getting overpowered or boat raced out of the building, but the plays were all working. So that'll be something to watch as the Bears go back home. And, of course, we'll be watching Nick Foles. When you're getting questions about whether Mitchell Trubisky is going to get back in there, not good. Not good.
That is not good. This is not how you wanted things to work out. But Bloom, isn't this the way they were always going to work out?
Right.
I mean, honestly, they're going to start with Trubisky because he's the first round, and then they're going to go to Foles, and then Foles is going to do what Foles does. He's going to look okay and then struggle, and then they're going to go back to Trubisky, and then oh my god. So, and now Allen Robinson with the concussion protocol, like. All right. Not really exciting about any of the Bears this week.
No, I don't think we're going to see Allen Robinson. It was a Monday night concussion. David Montgomery's going to get you here 10 to 15 points in PPR leagues. Maybe half of that comes from 6 or 7 catches, but he'll get that for you. The Saints' run defense is stingy too, so you're not going to expect a lot there. And this comes down to who do you trust? Who do you trust, right? Because you don't trust the Saints' secondary. They give up big plays. They have these laps of these big plays, but then you have to trust Nick Foles to actually make the throw. This is bad on bad, but Darnell Mooney in that deep ball. Miller sometimes finds himself a vacancy in the secondary, so there's always a chance that they could hit on a big play. More likely, we probably see Jimmy Graham catch 6 balls for 29 yards. Cole Kmet get a couple of catches. I mean, the Bears hope their defense can help them find a way to hang on, and then they make some plays on offense. But I think this is a good week to have the Saints defense in your lineup.
Okay, that wraps up that game, which means a very good. And no matter where these teams are, no matter where, San Francisco and Seattle always has something. They hate each other.
Yep.
They're gonna fight against each other. There'll be fisticuffs. There'll be all sorts of excitement. And then the San Francisco side is, the excitement is the roulette wheel of running backs, right? Who are you gonna put your chips on?
Yeah.
You're gonna put it on Jermichael. You're gonna put it on Jet. Is Tevin Coleman going to play in this one? Bloom? That's where the excitement and the interest comes in because George Kittle, blah, 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 and Brandon Ayuk and Debo and blah, blah, blah. And how's that reflect on Jimmy G? Seattle's pass defense is god-awful.
Right.
So the running backs are really the only question when it comes to San Francisco's side.
Yes. Baltimore, Pittsburgh of the NFC Cs?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we get the treat of both of them in the same week. Watch them back-to-back along with some other games. Again, NFC, feel it tight, claustrophobic. Some team from the NFC is going to get in. Green Bay is going to get in. One of New Orleans and Tampa Bay is going to get in. And you have your division winner from the West. Then it's possible. I mean, see, if San Francisco win this game, the West could, I think, be with a half a game of each other from top to bottom. And it's going to be, which means just like last year, wasn't the scenario last year where like if San Francisco had lost, they would have went from the 1 to the 5 seed, and instead it was Seattle going from the 1 to the 5 seed. This year it might be from not the 1 seed, but from hosting a game to just dropping out of the playoffs completely. So these are massive games. As you said, Seattle's defense. I mean, how can we properly give Seattle's defense credit for bringing out the best? It's really Russell Wilson, too. The combination brings out the best in their opponents. You want to see the idealized form of offenses. Just, ask Cam Newton when he plays Seattle. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo's going to be without Deebo Samuel. This is a Brandon Ayuk game. Absolutely Brandon Ayuk game. Seattle's defense could firm up when Jamal Adams comes back. I don't think that's going to happen in this game. So, is it a George Kittle game? See, so this is another 15 for 180 kind of George Kittle game. It really hinges on the San Francisco defense. But if San Francisco has to have some urgency and make up a deficit in this one, George Kittle, even Kendrick Bourne as a what-the-heck flex, then you get to those running backs. If you have to play one, and I say that, I don't think Coleman's going to be activated, but and then it leaves us with Hasty and McKinnon. If you have to play one, I would go with Hasty. I'd go with the guy who actually looked good in the last 2 games we saw him, instead of McKinnon, who we saw in one game looked like he didn't have his burst, and then the team rested him. Just that doesn't happen. Kyle Shanahan is basically not wanting to come out and say that he didn't know if he had a lot to offer. These games were epic last year. This is an incredible rivalry, and shame we won't have Richard Sherman, who's been on both sides of the rivalry. But I think this is going to be a fantastic game, and of course, the highlight is probably going to be Russell Wilson's delicious cooking.
Russell Wilson all the way, and of course, you don't listen to this show to be like, DK Metcalf guy, Tyler Lockett, yes, keep going. We're just watching the running back. It's almost like the San Francisco side, Bloom. It's like, okay, just Carlos Hyde, ladies and gentlemen, or DJ Dallas,
right? Or Chris Carson. He's going to be a game time decision. So really, I think the best.
Do you like Carson when he's banged up though? Because we've seen Carson banged up enough. Like when Carson's healthy, cool, and then he gets banged up, and it's like, less cool.
But with a foot injury, so it's like the best of both worlds. I mean, it's the best and worst, right? So he's the best times, worst of times. Because I think he was Chris Carson. Again, this happens with so many players where what makes them good is also what potentially sabotages their value, because he just plays without any regard for his body. And I think if you tell him you've got this midfoot sprain, you got to be careful, he's not going to change anything about how he runs. So he goes out and he can have a 110-yard game, but then at the end of the game limps off and actually the foot lets go, something like that. But look, if Chris Carson is active, just because of his chance to get chippy touchdowns, and even in the passing game what he's been doing, if Chris Carson is active and they say he's expected to start, not just active as an emergency play, which is possible, by the way, then I'm going to play Chris Carson. If Carson is inactive, then you have Carlos Hyde coming in with hamstring tightness. They said it's not a big deal, but he hasn't practiced yet. And even if we see Hyde, and we'll talk to Dr. Gene about this tonight and Sunday morning, I mean, if Hyde gets in a limited practice, if he can't push that hamstring enough to get in a full practice, but they still have him play, are you really going to trust him? But that doesn't mean you're going to play DJ Dallas. And also, Travis Homer, his knee contusion was expected to be minor. He hasn't practiced yet. I don't think Homer's going to have standalone value, but he could obstruct value for somebody else there, maybe one DJ Dallas. So it's complicated, and chances are you don't want to count on anybody to set your lineup. We'll have more information as we go forward. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. This is great. I mean, DK Metcalf was a fantasy bust last week, and he had the play of the year. It would be a play of the year in a lot of years, too.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been another play. I don't know if you heard. I know you're usually very kind, and you'll hear some of the stuff we do on the couch. We talked about DK Metcalf for 10 minutes on the couch, just because he came up in 3 different points in the show.
That's the Ben Watson, Champ Bailey interception.
It is, except, when Ben Watson ran down Champ Bailey, there was a sense of wow, that was a great hustle play. Wow, Ben Watson is really a committed player. This is the Belichick way and things like that. When DK Metcalf made the play that he made, I don't know that there's been another play that I can think of off the top of my head. I probably have to go back to a Lawrence Taylor play from when we were kids or something, Cease, where you were truly in awe of what you watched. You're watching it and your mouth is just agape,
James Harrison interception in the Super Bowl.
Yes, well,
that was one of those what?
Right.
What?
But yes, and I mean, there's a lot of plays that we're in awe of, but it's strictly watching DK Metcalf, at the moment of recognition in his brain, when he says, "I have to catch him," and you see the way his body. People compare it to the T2000. Am I saying this? Was that the number T1000?
It's the T1000.
T1000. See, my brain. I'm only 98% sure of anything. At least I got the letter right.
Well, Arnold was the T800, I believe.
Okay, so that's a good idea of how impressive that play was.
Oh, there was fear. Watch when you're watching DK Metcalf on that play. You're like,
yeah,
he's gonna kill him.
Yeah,
he's gonna catch him. And he's gonna tear him up.
Yeah, and just this sense of DK Metcalf, and it's why we love football so much. I said this on the couch, and I'll say it again, because we're seeing players who are already at the very limits of what a human body can do, but then their spirit pushes that to the very limits of what it can achieve. And that's why we see catastrophic injuries. I think it's what really makes the game compelling is that they're playing it truly on the razor's edge, like hockey players who are even crazier. Hockey players will come over to the bench, spit out some teeth, and just go back out there and play.
Get back in there.
Yeah, don't want to miss a shift. So here's our tribute to DK Metcalf and the play of the year. And it was a hugely important play in the game, even though they didn't win. But this is important. Again, Seattle loses this game. They may fall out of, I think they fall into a tie for first place. And 49ers only half game behind them, have that win on the road. So lots and lots on the line in this one.
I'd rather talk about DK Metcalf running down
Yes.
Buda Baker than Dallas and Philadelphia. Like, seriously, and all you had to do was just move Seattle, because you mentioned moving Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
Seattle, San
It's like
Francisco.
Seattle's right there, just like, just move it. Anyway, we're really going to talk about Ben DiNucci. Have they signed Cooper Rush? Is that a thing yet? I know they were thinking about it again. And man, Cowboys fans love Cooper Rush. The way Broncos fans love Kyle Sloter. It's like illogical. Doesn't make sense. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, I'm getting a lot of do I trade Zeke questions, Bloom.
Yes. The answer is yes.
I'm getting a lot of do I dump CeeDee Lamb questions.
Maybe.
Yeah. This is disaster time as the Cowboys are sellers. So don't be surprised if there's more.
Yeah, and they need to fire Mike McCarthy. I almost want to go on a Cecil rant trigger.
Do it.
Well,
man.
no.
Mike McCarthy sucks.
He's so bad. And it's very rare. I try to be kind and generous in my views of people, but
It's never personal, but Mike McCarthy is not good at coaching football.
No, and I feel like at this point he's a symbol of how it's laughable that some parts of the NFL coaching hiring process are not meritocracies at all.
No.
I mean, come on. It goes back to whenever he watched every game, every play of every game. Actually, I didn't. I just said that in an interview.
Fooled him.
What happened? I mean, do you lie during job interviews? I mean, maybe it's the American way to just puff yourself up so that it doesn't matter. Once they find out that you're full of it, it's too late. But it's not too late to fire him.
It's a good old boy network. I mean, we can rant on this because this is exactly what it is. This isn't Eric Bieniemy's on the sidelines and nobody's hired him as a head coach.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is Jerry Jones going, I need a puppet. I need someone that's just, it'll check all the boxes, right? And, well, maybe not all the boxes.
Yeah.
But I need someone that'll just pass the sniff test enough. And unless he's been at Waffle House for too long. But, he's going to pass that test. Oh, McCarthy and veteran and look at this guy. Like, it was always a terrible hire. Always a terrible, asinine, ignorant hire to go through the good old boy network. It's like a temp agency where all the temps suck. It's like, you've had your chance. You've had your chance, Mike McCarthy. And Aaron Rodgers doesn't like you. Now, Aaron Rodgers may not like a lot of people, but like you could only get one Super Bowl, happened to be against the Steelers. Thank you. With Aaron Rodgers should have 2, 3, 4 Super Bowls. Why didn't he? Because Mike McCarthy sucks.
Yeah. Well, he just isn't a coach. He's not going to actually coach players and coach his team and come up with a winning game plan. See, my note is this is like a show. Watching the Cowboys the last 2 weeks, it's like a TV show that's going to get canceled. Maybe the kids now don't remember when there was just like the 3 networks or the 4 networks and how big of a deal it was for a show to have a primetime spot on a network. But you could tell watching a show even when they were filming it, they knew it was going to get canceled. They knew it wasn't even going to last through the first season. And that's what watching this Cowboys team looks like. The players know. The player's heart is not in it. Will Dalton play? Will he not play? I mean, for the outlook, I don't know if it matters. I mean, look, if it's Ben DiNucci, I'm not going to say bench Zeke and bench Cooper. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. And yeah, I think with Zeke, you're trying to get the name brand value, and because it's all falling apart. I think with CeeDee Lamb, you hold on to him, but you don't play him, because if this offense can stabilize a little bit, it will probably be around short passing to CeeDee Lamb. It's poor Michael Gallup, who we don't like. And this is a test. I mean, watch the Cowboys. Watch how they play. Watch the energy of the team. Watch how they respond to each other. Watch how they go in and out of the huddle. Watch how they go on and off the sideline for the energy of this team. This is on Mike McCarthy. Did you actually deserve to get another chance head coaching? Then have your team show something in this game.
Philadelphia's side is interesting, Bloom, because Jalen Reagor's back.
Yeah.
So Jalen Reagor, and I don't think it's one of those things that can make Travis Fulgham better. For people like, oh, he's back and that's going to take away. Like, no, we've gone over this. We've gone over this. When you have another wide receiver that's really good, it can open things up for you because your defensive attention is going to turn to the other guy. Dallas Goedert not back yet, most likely, Bloom. So where's your confidence level in Richard Rodgers? Where's your confidence level in Boston Scott? Probably won't see Miles Sanders. It's Sunday night, so it's tricky. And it's not really that fun of a matchup anyway, so it's tricky. So let's discuss this.
Yeah, play everyone against Dallas, right? Carson Wentz versus Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes this week. Wentz. It's Wentz. Boston Scott, you find a way to get in your lineup. Travis Fulgham, you find a way to get in your lineup. Now, Jalen Reagor and Dallas Goedert are practicing. I believe they've not officially been taken off of IR yet. They've just been designated to return and can start the 21-day practice period. They do have a bye next week, Philadelphia does. So I just don't know. They can beat this Dallas team in the state they're in without these players. So we'll see. We'll watch. If Rager's not out there, Greg Ward becomes more interesting. He's steady, competent. And if Goddard's not back out there, then of course Richard Rodgers, who showed what value the position of tight end has in this offense, and makes you wonder if Zach Ertz was really that bad. And your first place Eagles, and I say that, Cease, but I don't want to joke about it because whatever this team's record is 6-9-1. If they host a playoff game and all of a sudden it's an offense with Dallas Goedert and Jalen Reagor, now this is a dangerous team. Carson Wentz is a dangerous quarterback, so you just got to take care of business against the Cowboys.
Got to take care of your business on Monday night, and Monday Night Football this week is Tampa and the Giants. So you love seeing how Tom Brady is surging. Chris Godwin's going to miss the game with the finger surgery, should be back in a week. Mike Evans is not himself. He's a decoy. So what's a decoy worth, Bloom? Like a flex play?
Right.
Like that's where Mike Evans is this year. It's about Antonio Brown. And we can bring up Ronald Jones and how Leonard Fournette's, what do they call him, the nickelback?
Yeah.
Right? He's their nickelback, which is like, oh, he's not that terrible because nothing's worse than nickelback. Although nickelback is so old.
Right.
I know I have a clause in my contract that says you cannot play nickelback when I'm on the radio or else I get to walk out.
Right.
Because they said I could put anything in. You can have anything you want. I said, anything? Yeah, anything. Never play nickelback when I'm on the air. But it seems like that's an old joke. But anyway, so yes, Fournette, Ronald Jones, blah, 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 blah. But really the interesting thing is Antonio Brown with the Bucs on Monday night.
Yeah, he'll suit up against the Saints, and it's all building towards the Saints in Week 9. COVID watch. By the way, the Chargers have a positive player, so we're going to watch the Chargers and Broncos game. And the Giants have all but 4 of their offensive linemen in quarantine. We'll see how that works out. I think the Giants and Tampa both have a bye coming up. So it gives the league an easy out here if they want to. I don't know what the calculus of the league is on who's high risk and clearing players. So just keep that in mind. And keep that in mind because it's a Monday night game and we may not have clarity on Sunday morning whether they're going to play. When you set your lineups, maybe you take the sure thing instead of the team game that's postponed. Fantasy football in the year 2020. Tom, terrific. I mean, what can you say about Tom Brady, even without Chris Godwin? And actually, Arian said it's very optimistic to say that Godwin will be back next week. So he's letting us know that.
But Arians is a liar. He just lies.
Right. Probably going to see James Bradbury on Mike Evans. He's not a liar. Just things change. So you like Scott Miller. You like Rob Gronkowski. You like maybe even Tyler Johnson, who's going to get those slot snaps in place of Godwin. I think you like Fournette over Ronald Jones. Fournette more running back 2, Jones more of a flex, but both of them could be good. Again, this is going to be a pouring it on kind of offense. And Tampa's really establishing themselves as the favorite in the NFC. But you got the Saints coming up next week. That's going to be your real yardstick game. This is not a yardstick. This is a light practice. A
light practice because the Giants side, whoa. Okay. It's the Tampa defense. And this is a team that could win on defense. This is a team that could tell Tom, go score 10 points and we're going to win by 10, especially in this game, Bloom. So really anybody, because we can bring up the assets on the Giants side, and we'll talk a little Darius Slayton. He's a wide receiver 4.
Right.
Like I'm starting A.J. Green and Corey Day. I'm starting Jerry Jeudy over Darius Slayton. So like you have options that happen to have the Giants logo on the side of their helmet, but you have better options with other teams.
Yeah, you do. And you feel bad for Daniel Jones. We're back to the first 3 weeks of the year, Cease, where we're looking at the schedule going, oof, poor Daniel Jones. Poor Daniel Jones and that Jason Garrett offense. Speaking of NFL meritocracy. This is rough. I mean, Tampa's defense is rough as it is. If they have some key offensive linemen out, was Will Hernandez, by the way, testing positive. So you know they're going to be without Will Hernandez to start. Daniel Jones tried to come out of this game without getting hurt. Maybe I'm not saying to play Darius Slayton. Maybe in your GPP lineups, that low-owned player, because if the Bucs pass rush doesn't get home, there's a little Steelers to this. Carlton Davis has turned into a shutdown corner, though. I think it's Sterling Shepard. In PPR leagues, he may get you a cheap 15 points, like an 8 for 68 kind of game. Evan Ingram's going to get you cheap 10 PPR points in like a 6 for 38 kind of game.
Right.
Maybe Wayne Gallman, it may be Devontae Freeman right now. Freeman not practicing yet, but Gallman, again, PPR points could get you a cheap 10 to 12 here. So that's it. I mean, basically what we're looking at is because Daniel Jones is probably going to have to pass, it's the Bucs run defense. Why even bother trying to run against this team? You're going to look for cheap PPR points if the game is played. Whether the game is played or not, you're going to maybe need with 4 teams out, maybe 6 teams out, maybe 8 teams out. It's a big week for What the Heck Flex.
Yeah, big week. Always a big week in the world of What the Heck Flexes, because it's week 8. You're desperate. You need a win. Maybe you just want to keep winning. But either way, you're looking over your lineup and you just need some punch. Bloom in week 8, my What the Heck Flexes at running back. And this includes Leonard Fournette. We'll see whatever that means. So he's a What the Heck Flex. Nyheim Hines still got a soft spot, Bloom, just like you do for Nyheim Hines. So there's a What the Heck Flex level. Latavius Murray against the Bears is What the Heck Flex level this week. I think you could throw in Tony Pollard, honestly, as a What the Heck Flex this week as well. At the wide receiver position, I think Jerry Jeudy's more than a What the Heck Flex, but I am starting Jeudy in every league that I have him in, and I have him in quite a few leagues. Back to the Colts, there's Zach Pascal. It kind of tells you where the Colts are, but Zach Pascal, like a What the Heck Flex this week. I think Rashard Higgins should perform more than What the Heck Flex levels, but just make sure to get him in your lineup. Nelson Aguilar, on the flip side of that, Nelson Aguilar is a What the Heck Flex with some upside. Denzel Mims. We don't talk much about the Jets, not good anyway, but Denzel Mims is always going to be a What the Heck Flex for me, baby. When you look over your lineup, and you just need some punch, and you need to stretch, obviously.
Oh, I love stretching.
Who are your week 8 What the Heck Flexes?
Cecil, when we're doing the live show on YouTube, I just feel like we're among friends. So
yeah,
I might wear a shirt with a hole in the armpit, but we're among friends. What the heck flex?
What the heck?
We got some overlap here. I mean, is Nelson Aguilar what the heck flex? It was just 1 week. We were kind of conditioned on not believing him. Denzel Mims just is the perfect garbage time player. I mean, because oozing physical ability. We saw Sam Darnold make one of the better throws of the whole season in garbage time to Braxton Berrios. So you got injuries there, Crowder and Perryman. Mentioned Darnell Mooney and Anthony Miller. One of those might connect against the New Orleans secondary that has lapses. Jacoby Myers, and we're getting deep here. This is more like in deep dynasty, add him to the end of your roster. He was the best receiver for the Patriots last week. So it's just every day. If it didn't happen today, it happened yesterday. He was the best receiver on them. And remember, as an undrafted free agent, he scaled that curve of learning pretty quickly. So I won't be surprised the writing's on the wall. In Edelman, it's 1 foot in the grave at this point. Jacoby Myers fits right into that same role. So just keep him in mind. Marcus Johnson, another one to keep in mind. Giving some love, What the Heck Flex, some players that are underrated and deserving some success here. Marcus Johnson the deep threat for Phillip Rivers against Detroit. Detroit has had some lapses in the secondary also. Jerry Jeudy we mentioned, Greg Ward we mentioned, also Scott Miller and Tyler Johnson. At running back, Boston Scott, obvious, of course, just in case. J.K. Dobbins, it's my nightmare. You might be living it. DJ Dallas, we talked about. Watch the Seattle running back situation. JaMychal Hasty, again, and Joshua Kelly, again, in the sad note about Mike Purcell's season being over, but that's going to make things easier when it comes time to run on the Broncos in the second half. And yeah, everybody, and I appreciate all the encouragement, Cecil, with the captain's hat. See what you miss if you don't come to the YouTube show or check it out afterwards. Maybe we might keep the hat game going after Halloween.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I just don't. I'm having a hat hair type of day. So yeah, that's the key for hats, because
it lets me show my flowing locks.
Like, oh, we're wearing hats today, and I'm like, yeah, I just don't have gel in my hair, so
that's okay. It's important. We're gonna get you hooked up with that hair gel.
Suavecito.
Yeah, gotta keep it.
Give me some Suavecito. We will have costumes on tonight. We should probably tell Matt and Gene we're gonna do that.
I was gonna say, poor Matt and Gene. They'd be like, no one told us.
Yeah. All right, everybody. That is a wrap for the Week 8 preview part 2. Appreciate you guys for jumping on here on YouTube. Like all the new people jumping on YouTube as well. So make sure to do those YouTube things. And we can see from our data, besides when YouTube demonetizes us because we say naughty words, or just say coronavirus and they'll demonetize you. But anyway, wash your damn hands, mask up, do all those things. It's winter again. And what happens with viruses? They surge when it's cold. More positives. Yes. Why? And Bloom, you bring up, like, what does the NFL think of this? There are so many people within the NFL that don't take this seriously. And I'm talking about players, coaches, everybody. There's so many people in the NFL that are just like, whatever. It's like, dude, okay, you want more positives, then keep doing what you're doing. You want an abbreviated season, keep doing what you're doing. So, everyone out there helping out, wash your hands, mask up, all those kind of things, whatever. And let's just be good, right? Let's be good to everybody out there. It's tense time. You can feel the tense. You go out and go to the grocery store and it's like tense, right? Like it's a tense time. I don't think we're going to get any sort of pressure relief next week, and everybody knows what I'm talking about. So, let's remember to be kind, and let's remember to embrace how alike we are.
Yeah.
And, let's work on things we need to work on, right? But let's also embrace how most of us want the same thing. We may want it in different ways, but we want the same thing. So let's all remember that. Love your neighbor, all that kind of good, positive stuff. He's Sigmund Bloom. I'm Cecil Lammey. We're the Audible, everyone out there. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned and stay frosty.